committed to complete Northwest news coverage. KIRO 7 Eyewitness News.
The key witness in the case of a teenage girl's death on Fort Lewis has finally come forward to testify. And what that witness told a military court today could change the case dramatically. Our South Sound reporter Kevin McCarty is live outside Fort Lewis now, where that teenager testified in the case of Private Timothy Bennett.
And Steve, at the core of the Army's case against Private Bennett was the allegation that he provided powerful prescription drugs to his 16-year-old girlfriend on Valentine's Day, causing her to overdose and die. Now, the only other eyewitness to what happened that night has finally come forward. After months in hiding in an aunt's house in Gig Harbor, Trishana Yoakum finally came forward to tell a military court what happened the night Leah King died inside of Fort Lewis barracks. The 16-year-old may have changed the case against Private Timothy Bennett after testifying that Bennett did not give King the drugs that killed her on Valentine's Day.
That those drugs were carried in by Leah, and the drugs were, Leah had the drugs. So.
And Private Bennett did not give her drugs?
Private Bennett did not give her drugs, no.
Yoakum would not speak to reporters, but her attorney Bradley Johnson explained her testimony after she appeared before a hearing to determine if Bennett will face prosecution. Bennett, who's a 19-year-old Afghan war veteran, could be court-martialed on charges of involuntary manslaughter and drug dealing in the wake of King's death. Army prosecutors say he gave the 16-year-old King Opana, a powerful painkiller that caused her to overdose and die. But Yoakum, who was with King that night, says the girls got the drug along with some Xanax from a friend in exchange for doing housework. Yoakum also overdosed but recovered after being rushed to Madigan Army Medical Center. And she claims Bennett didn't even know the two girls had Opana with them the night Leah King died.
Ms. Yoakum testified honestly and candidly today about the testimony. It was difficult for her to do. She was intimidated by the process, but she wanted to come forward and tell the truth.
This case is now in the hands of an investigating officer who will hand her review over to the Judge Advocate General's office. It will be reviewed there to determine whether or not Bennett will go forward in a court-martial. If he's convicted as charged right now, Timothy Bennett could face more than 80 years in a military prison. Live outside Fort Lewis, Kevin McCarty, KIRO 7 Eyewitness News.
An overnight fire that torched a vacant home just east of Everett has